Obviously, to recap last Saturday, I was proud of our effort. There's certain areas inside of everything that we need to shore up to make sure that common error or a mistake that could have happened in every segment of how we played doesn't come back to haunt us. And we need to continue to improve, and we're going to have a tough one this week just with the certain dynamics and what will be written out there and what our players will read. We're going to play a team that's still connected. I mean, we have Jeremiah Noga on our team, and he can speak to the behalf of the friendships that were created there. And this is a conference game, obviously, versus a rival team that was left in the pack with us. And so we're going to go into another team's place. We got to get ready to play, and I don't care what the record is. So they've got some really talented players at certain positions. They might not have come together collectively to get the wins that they want, but it doesn't mean that they're not going to show up and be ready for us. So we're going to continue to grow on the things that we failed at on Saturday, lock into how to improve and move forward.
I was going to ask about Johnny Lester starting for the first time this year, obviously playing a different position these last 2 weeks than he started at. One, like, what have you made of his season, and kind of where does that versatility that he brings come from, do you think?
I think he's done a good job of adapting just to a new scheme from a tackle to guard, being able to be multiple. Overall, his technique is grown. There's some flashes of ups and downs there at times, but when he plays the right way and has the right mindset, he's really talented. And he's done a great job with just being able to adapt on the move. I mean, to be playing left guard and then to move to right tackle inside of a game and do a good, solid job. You know, it's impressive just as far as how he pays attention, let alone physically how he did too, because I thought he did a really good job this Saturday.
Were you in the huddle, or like who was the one to tell him against Virginia, like, hey, we're going to move you to right tackle?
That's kind of been a plan in place if something were to happen. Dunham has worked at that the most. It's kind of where our most our flexibility naturally will happen inside of the three core guys there. It's hard to find tackle bodies that are fleet of foot and have the size to anchor, and Johnny can do that.
And last thing, what's the challenge of getting your guys to focus against a team that's, like you said, 1-7? Is that
Well, we're 4-4, right? We're 4-4, and I don't know who would be satisfied with 4-4. So we got a long ways to go. We got 4 games left. We need to win every one of them one at a time.
You talked about Malaki and Buddha and just what a blessing it is to have them on your team. What have they kind of provided over the course of this year, and how do you see them showing up day in, day out?
Yeah, they've been great. For one, they're a joy to be around, just who they are, their sense of humor, how they go about their work. I would say Malaki has, just his violence in which he plays with is a joy. He has a switch, and he's extremely powerful and plays really hard. I would say Buddha, just leadership and what he's done from an overall confidence standpoint of coming in here and being voted on to the Pulse. It says a lot about him because he just got here in June, and they're good character kids that want the best and are humble and are willing to work and are easy to talk to and understand where you're coming from and understand where we want to go as a team, and their willingness to help us in doing that. That's kind of, regardless if they made 5 sacks or 0 sacks, it really, it's a body of work together, collectively together, working with people and having a certain spirit and doing it. They're great workers.
Obviously, it's a long season. Injuries happen. When you're building your team, how important is it to get guys like Buddha, to get guys like Malaki, and to build a team that has those guys that can step up when needed?
Yeah, I think everybody needs to have that type of selfless. Everybody needs to be like that, and if you want to have success, because those guys don't. They care about playing. Obviously, they don't work as hard as they do not care about playing. But they're not, bitching and complaining about what they don't get ever. Lockie's come off the bench, and I don't look at Lockie as a backup. But the world may, and honestly, he may feel like that, just like I'm a 2. Like, he's not a 2 to me. He rotates and plays as much as the rest of them, and he's continuing to make an impact. So people that are okay with that, knowing that that's how you feel about them, regardless of what the world may say about the situation or where they sit on a piece of paper, collectively together, I don't really care about the paper on where people sit. I care about every person on this depth chart saying I can make an impact, and how do I make that impact? And that's buying in on special teams and growing and dominating a role to say that you deserve this now, right? And then it's getting inside of games like Sullivan Slimgan, who's continued to earn more and more reps. I think it matters on how you can create a culture and how you can make people feel and their overall impact and love for their teammates. I think that's really important.
Obviously, you'll have a stage this week on CBS with the Oregon State and Washington State. Obviously, first Pac-12 game. How important of an opportunity is this for both schools and for the Pac-12 heading into next season?
I think it's important to put out there in a competitive product that, this is going to be one of the best Group of 6 conferences in the country. And to be on the national stage, I always think it's important to put your best foot out there, to have a, play in front of hopefully what will be an electric atmosphere, and to play well. It goes back to recruiting. Players want to play in front of fan bases that care, in front of environments that are fun, and whether that's home or away, it doesn't really matter. So we got to hit the ground running. I'm more worried about closing out this season one game at a time with the best team that we can possibly be, one week after another, and take jumps to become better and better and better. And hopefully we're hitting on all strides, getting into a bowl at the end of the season and play our best football at the very end.
Brandon Gnashworthy and Mackenzie Lane both have seen pretty significant snaps the last few weeks, but maybe you're kind of doing more of the dirty work, the unseen work, the blocking. What does it kind of say about, what they're able to do physically that kind of gets them on the field, even when I think BG has like 170 snaps and only a couple targets, but obviously has a role in something you guys like in his physicality and his blocking?
I heard BG, but who did you mention?
Mackenzie Lane.
Okay. Yeah, it's a spirit of being a part of something and taking a role and taking ownership of it and finding joy in that ownership because you care more about your teammates than your own individual statistics. I think all of that is extremely important. Mac Aline busts his butt on special teams, which has allowed him to grow into a role and have a little bit more rep count inside of the wide receivers. Something that we've stressed, many listen, few don't, and those few that don't play. So he's bought into his role, almost had a tackle last week on punt, but he improved on the things that we talked about and improving in, and because of that, regardless if he made that tackle or not, he shows that he's listening and at least attempting to improve. Yeah, I love those guys. Mac has busted his butt since he's been here. He was a non-scholarship player when I showed up, and we had put him on scholarship, and he continues to at least work and to try to improve to make sure that we know he's worth the scholarship, and I appreciate that part of his game.
When did he get put on scholarship?
Last spring. Yeah.
Speaking of special teams, Brody Miller makes his debut. He makes a pretty impressive tackle, just kind of coming down the field on kickoff. I think it's now 9 or 10 true freshmen who have played a little bit this year, and it kind of is something we saw at your previous stop as well, getting true freshmen into games. Just what do you kind of think that does, even if it's only for a game or two, kind of in their development in the long term?
Keeps them engaged, that they can make an impact on a season, allows them to grow in whatever role that they have as far as special teams and understand what a game plan looks like and how how you go about a week, not just in the game plan itself, but the travel. It knocks off the first game jitters. It allows them to maybe have a bigger role when they show that they can do special teams, that they're trusted to have a bigger role on defense or offense. I would say it's really important to keep people engaged mentally so that they stay in tune with the information that they're going to need to know the next year as well. But, my faith is in trying to push talent ahead of experience. I think part of that just comes down to us as coaches trying to do our best to get our players the right amount of knowledge for them to play fast and have an impact as fast as they possibly can on the football team. Nobody comes here just to sit around. And I tell every recruit, if you're the best player, you'll play. This is not the YMCA. Now it's our job to try to give them that knowledge. It's our job to try to close that gap. And I don't care if you're a returning starter or not. If you're not producing, like I told that person when he became the starter that I'm bringing somebody in to replace you. That's the goal for all coaches across the landscape of college football. I just maybe say it more bluntly that's my job, to find a player that can replace the starter, which will elevate the floor of the program. It's the starter's job to keep his job. It's the starter's job, if they want to be a great team, to teach the lessons that they were taught from a prior teammate to the younger generation, to say, this is how it looks, this is how you do it. That's competitive maturity. And the closer we can get to that as a team, as far as our older, veteran, experienced players that are having success, taking the young buck and teaching them what it takes to have a pro-like mentality, the wins will keep coming because we'll keep elevating from the freshman class up. And we got a lot of talent. They just got to grow mentally and be given that opportunity. They also have to be itching to make an impact on special teams and be itching to continue to learn and continue to develop. It just doesn't happen overnight. We all have an illusion of time. There is no time. The time is working right now consistently to be at our best.
Coach, you mentioned post-game that there was a little bit of a fear maybe that the way you guys had, closed out those last couple games was going to start to creep in. What's the biggest difference in your mind of the way the team was able to finish last week versus, what had happened in the past couple of weeks?
The defense stood up and didn't allow it to happen, and then we were able to finish a fourth quarter drive with, I don't know what the final count was on time taken off on that last drive, but being able to run, what was it? 6.5. That's a critical drive. And I don't even know how many plays that final 12. So that's a huge drive in the game, and it kind of secured it. And then obviously getting ourselves out of situations that we put ourselves in again. We had, I want to say, a false start that backed us up that Zevi made on the next play. He kind of ran through the line of scrimmage. There was a penalty on that drive that backed us up, that put us behind the sticks, and Zevi threw it to T free on that touchdown. That might have been the first time all season that we had scored points on a drive that we had a penalty on. I don't know that for sure. They're doing their research on that for me now, but then the other opportunity at the goal line where we jumped off sides. We had a false start. We got backed up there at the goal line. Like, I know we were up by 14 points, but Kirby broke through on that run for nobody to notice that. It still happened though, right? So we're kind of killing ourselves, and that was 2 times that I felt like, I can't remember when the last time we done that, where we got a pre-snap penalty and we got ourselves out of the situation, and it happened 2 in critical moments, and we got to stop doing that. And that was kind of the message to the team, because if we can stay together and connected, complementary football will have success, because we're doing enough good in all 3 phases to have success. We just can't kill ourselves.
When you were coaching at South Dakota State, there was always the possibility that you would see a team a second time in the season in the playoffs. Does that kind of experience help you? I know it wasn't a guarantee, and you are guaranteed to play Oregon State twice, but does that kind of experience help you get ready for the first time you'll see a team twice?
No, I've never game planned against Oregon State before, and what you saw early is starting to slowly change late. They have different people in place, and no. The reality is you may play somebody in a season and then see them in a bowl game too. So I don't know if it helps you. You just need to be aware of you can't do the same exact things, and that the next, what's hard, I would say more than anything, is doing everything right and having a ton of success, and then you come back around and you say, what would we change? And you feel like an idiot for changing. And then you feel like an idiot if you didn't change and you don't have success. So there's a balance with that. You got to be somewhat unpredictable at times, and you have to adapt as the game goes, just as you would any game.
Slowly but surely the running numbers are piling up. You're starting to have success. You had success on that last drive, almost exclusively running the football. How difficult is it to stick to a run game that is maybe struggling at the start of the season or at the start of a game and have it pay dividends later?
Hard. It's just something that you believe in. I don't know if you get away from everything that you believe in as far as playing great defense and being able to run the ball to have success as an offense. Like, you just keep working at it until it happens. There will be a breakthrough. In the meantime, as you are trying to improve, you also have to have answers. And I said the word running the ball. I think I've talked more about running the football more than ever. I just meant that we're going to be balanced and not be air raid. But as you can see, if there's yards in the air, we're going to attempt to throw them. It's just we run the ball here more than maybe prior the history of this place. But it's not to just ram our heads against the wall. It is about winning. That's the only thing I care about. You know, I don't. If we threw for 300 yards or ran for 300 yards, I really don't care. It's how to have success, to give our best as a staff to the players, and how our players can have success in helping the team together. And it is about winning. So, yeah, sticking to a process that you believe in and continue to work on it until it happens, and being very obsessive about the detail in which it takes to have this success. I think that's how you have success.
Just to kind of follow up on the freshman question a minute ago, you guys have 4 games left. Is there now kind of a set, or I guess maybe an idea of guys that now you can try and get into those 4 games, knowing that there isn't the risk of pushing them over that threshold, because obviously the bowl game, if there is one, does not count against eligibility?
Yeah, who do you have in mind?
I know we talked about Luke
No,
Webb, for
we
example.
always talk about it. We have a game chart every week that we say what their count is at, and I don't want to put anybody in jeopardy of losing a season for a couple plays here and there.
And then the shirtless fans, I don't think we asked you about that on Saturday.
You know what? I saw that, and that was awesome. Maybe we can get 20,000 shirtless fans in this place. But, yeah, that was awesome. I didn't see it. I saw our players get asked the question. It's really nothing that I pay attention to at all inside of a game, but that's cool. I saw the video of all the people up in the corner. I think that started with Wade Hogue, though.
And then just
He was in the suite, though, whipping it across to the student section on the opposite side.
and then just kind of what's the status on Hilborn, Jalen Caldwell, Ram, Sanjo, Beatty, Hudson, and then now Bobby Terrell. Maybe
We're going to have to go one at a time because my mindset isn't on who's out, it's on who's in.
Let's start with Bobby just because he was kind of, I think, someone we had.
Bobby should be good to go this week. He's got to go through a protocol, but he looks much better than he did last week, and we expect him to go.
And then Ram,
Still up in the air, but he's going to practice this week.
Hilborn.
Going to go through some things. Not 100% sure. He's probably doubtful, though.
Caldwell.
Out.
Beatty.
Out.
Cedarland.
Going to go through some practices and see how he looks.
And Sanjo.
Up in the air, but probably out.
When you look at the Oregon State roster, obviously they've had coaching change, plenty of changes, but where they're at now, what do you like? Like, what are their strengths, and then what are you preparing for to face them?
I think their running back is really talented. They made a change at quarterback that kind of maybe sparked them as much as there was a lot of attention around Malik Murphy, and I think he's a good player. I just think as of lately, Anthony Hankerson has stood out. He's a really good player, and David Wells is doing a good job too. They've kind of mixed and matched O-linemen, but yeah, they're big up front. They're physical. They try to play hard and finish you through the whistle, and then defensively, they got a lot of a mix of old and young, and I do think there's a level of maturity there that they've been able to have some success with. Dexter Foster is a really good player, and then on the back end, they got several players that have real speed. Trey Glasper, true freshman player that has taken a good amount of reps, has stood out, but looks like they have Jaleel Tucker playing now more, so we'll see. Every week is its own week. They'll present its challenges. Somebody will rise to the occasion, and these guys will be ready to play. So we need to get ourselves ready to play.
Have you ever met or interacted with Rob Akey?
No, I haven't.
We talked a lot about the injuries that have kind of fallen on the defensive line. What?
Just this team, but go
Well,
ahead.
in general, for sure.
There's also many that you don't know that are out that are not available, but
Yeah. Well, as far as the ones on the defensive line go, what have you guys done specifically to build the kind of depth to get guys like Jack Janikowski and Donovan Fitzmaurice, guys like that? How do you build that kind of depth to where when you have, unfortunately, injuries like this, you aren't, falling off at a position like that?
Yeah, I think you believe in them and you push them, and it starts from the culture that Coach Bibbs has created in that room. Coach Bibbs is really passionate about coaching his players and being really close with them and caring about them. I mean, I think he takes their lack of execution about as personal as they could probably get, and I think that's a good sign as a coach, that you care so much about your players that when they fail, you feel it. So he's driven to push them day in and day out and believe that if they're going to get into the game, they're going to win us the game. I think overall, when you treat all your players like that and you can see a future in them, they can see it in themselves, even when maybe the world doesn't, or they have doubt naturally inside. It's you that's got to give them the confidence that they can go out and play. And so it's not just that position group. You got to see your player as that. I've had great mentors in my life, and I think you got to be able to see a player as what he could be, and he'll become what he should be. And that's how we've had success with a lot of players. Tucker Large was a non-scholarship player. Angel Johnson was a non-scholarship player. Caleb Franson was a non-scholarship player. We gave them a shot. We believed in them, and they became the players that they were because of the initial belief that we saw in them, even when they might not have saw it in themselves. So I think when you can do that collectively as a group, and then you can buy into the selfless nature of what we're going to ask them to do, which was create a rotation to keep them fresh, to have success throughout a series or a season. It's why you see the defense playing the way they do. It's not just at the position, it's everywhere. We've got 3 senior safeties, and not one of them complains about one starting over the other because they know they're going to impact the game and get into a rotation and make an impact, and it's only about winning. That's all they care about. So you need your teammate just as much as you need your stats, because if you're not able to play, the teammate that's backing you up will carry you through tough times for the opportunity that you may get back at the end of the season. And that's the case for several players on this team. We need to have success to play one more opportunity to give some of these seniors that are out one more shot to hit the field. That should matter to all of us.
How do you identify that selfless nature in the guys you want to recruit? And I guess, has that changed at all with the advent of the portal and, things like that?
Yeah, they're out there, though. Yeah, it's changed. You also create it by showing how much you care about them. But yeah, it's changed, surely. You're talking about the transfer portal and individual statistics, and it used to be this. You used to have a little bit of selfish bone in you to say, I had a great year. Maybe I'm worth this, right? Now you don't have to think about that anymore. Somebody's willing to call you to tell you how great you are, even though your season was average. So somebody's always willing to value you more than what you're currently at. It happens across college football. It doesn't mean that your value in which you're getting paid is the same value of how you're treated or what you're seen as. You can get paid a lot of money to go somewhere else and be miserable because you don't do the thing that you initially thought you played. It happens every year. You got to find the right place with the right people that are willing to work through hard times with you and push you to become the player that you want to become. At the same time, we as coaches can't live for the player and want this for them. They have to be willing to put in the work and buy into the team and do what they're asked to do in order to execute together an overall goal, which is team success, which is trying to win football games day in and day out, game week in and week out. So yeah, it's getting more challenging, but they're out there. I feel like we're going to add the right players to the future of this team, and I feel like we have a really strong freshman class that if they want to do something special, it's pivotal that we stay connected. I also think it's pivotal that we don't just take them for granted, and that NIL and the support around the collective continues to grow, because if not, we're going to be looking at each other and complaining about what we don't have. Here's an opportunity to buy into a great, the youth football team and take the next step forward. But I don't like bitching and complaining about what we don't have. I can't do it anymore. I just can't. I just need the awareness to say, what do we have and what do we need and what do we want to become? And then let's take a step forward in the approach to have long-term success, not just one-year success or not just a couple wins here and there. Like, that's not what I came here for. I came here to win and win a lot of football games because I believed in what the Washington State football and the whole community could do together. It's not just football. It's everybody, the alum and boosters coming together to say, this brand means something to us. Let's be competitive and be on a national stage and compete to get into a college football playoff. We can do that. That's why I came here. But I can't do it by myself, and nor can this staff without investment.
I want to ask a follow-up on Johnny. You said that when he plays the right way and has the right mindset, like he did on Saturday, he found success. What has it taken for him to develop that right mindset in your eyes?
Say that again.
Oh, yeah. So for Johnny Lester, you said that when he plays the right way and has the right mindset, he finds success. What has it taken for Johnny to develop that right mindset? Was that something that he had before you got here, or something that
no,
you
I think it's
developed?
more just, at times you make mental errors and you get stuck in a hard spot. Just kind of get out of your own way and just relax and play. Because when he is physical and he's an athletic player and he does care a lot about his teammates, he just doesn't get in a rut mentally and be so hard on himself when he makes mistakes and just move on to the next play. He's usually really good.
I've seen got older guys like Christian and Brock help him through that process.
Yeah, I think Brock's been pivotal here. I think all of our team is close together enough to hold each other accountable and try to encourage every player to get out of a tough spot. It's not just up front at the O-line, but Brock and Hilborn have been great for the entire football team, not just the O-line.